Greetings, this is Scotty Reed of Black Talk Radio News, which is part of the Black Talk Radio Network. Visit us online at blacktalkradionetwork.com. I want to make a short video as a teachable moment. I know a lot of people have never heard of the counter-racist lecturer, Neely Fuller Jr. Now, Mr. Fuller has been putting out comments and his opinions and observations on combating racism, global racism, not just here in the United States, for quite some time. And, you're not going to always agree with everything that someone puts out or their observation or their conclusions or whatnot. But one thing that I heard him say years ago in terms of combating racism or trying to counter racism that has really stuck with me, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. So, we actually did a program about the ADOS movement and some of the xenophobia and how it relates to codification in terms of, let's say, political strategy. And so here is another teachable moment. So, I am a subscriber to Color of Change, which is I guess we could call it a civil rights advocacy group for black people. And they launched a campaign. So I got the email notification. I clicked on the campaign where it was talking about asking district attorneys to erase criminal records. I do also host New Abolitionist Radio, and just on our last broadcast, we were talking about collateral consequences of a felony conviction. So this petition is along those lines. But what caused me to pause, now I did send the petition and I added a personal comment saying that I believe all criminal records should be erased, pertaining to these cannabis convictions because, of Kim Foxx, the Chicago state attorney, and the Baltimore state attorney, Marilyn Mosbey, out there in Maryland, announcing within a week of each other as this campaign states on this petition that they will be clearing past cannabis conviction and expunging the records of thousands of people facing barriers because of these past convictions. Now, that's right. But take a look at the image. It says prosecutors should clear the record for thousands of black people. Hashtag expungement now. Now, what's wrong with that picture? Well, I live in a predominantly white county in the rural South. I live in North Carolina. The county that I live in is 80% white. Of course, there is a white district attorney, and I'm just hoping that when I sign this petition, that it did not include this image. And so we're talking about codification. So Neely Fuller said years ago, and it's really stuck with me, that let's say we go to a town hall. I've been to town halls before in this county for the U.S. representative representing this district. Me and my children have gone to several of these town hall meetings, and often we will be the only black people in there. All right, so let's say the district attorney, I went to the district attorney's office and I advocated for the expungement of past cannabis convictions, and I said to him, you really should clear the records of black people. Now, that's not codified at all, that I would color code my request as if I'm saying only black people who have been convicted on cannabis charges should have their records cleared. If you look at some of these papers called the Slammer, is a local paper, or you look at the local news where they're always, feeding you the mug shots of people who have been arrested. And in this county that I live in, the vast majority of the people getting arrested are white people. And it makes sense because, it's 80+% white population in this county. So I expect them, to also that be reflected in the local jail population and what have you. All right. So if I went to this district attorney and say, hey, why don't you clear the record for black people? He's going to take that as, hey, I'm asking him to only clear the records of black people and not all the people who have these past cannabis convictions. So, Mr. Fuller said if you go to a town hall and you want to talk about the mistreatment of any group of people, can you talk about mistreatment, even if it is racism, without using the R word? Okay, without color coding it. Of course, this would require you to expand your vocabulary. And, it's just trying to be successful in our counter racist efforts and not throw up any unneeded opposition, because he was like saying, Mr. Fuller was saying that as soon as you start talking about racism in a public forum, with white people there, the first thing they're going to do is push back against that and accuse you of playing the race card, or they'll talk about reverse racism and whatnot. And so, this picture, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So here the color change is sending me a petition to send to my local rural white district attorney asking him to clear records, cannabis conviction records of only black people. That's not a proper promotion of justice. That is not codified. I could just simply say to him, a lot of states are moving to legalize cannabis. I think it's something like 75% of states have either legalized cannabis for medicinal purposes or recreational purposes, with many more, following suit. And now we have presidential candidates who are also calling for the legalization of cannabis. And so, this is causing harm to people who are looking for work and are being disqualified from those jobs when their employer does a criminal record search and they see, oh, you like to smoke weed or something like that. And they may have a bias against people who use cannabis, even if they're not using it now, but they have these convictions. And so, again, codification could go a long way in implementing policies that are based on justice. And like Malcolm X said, I'm for whatever benefits humanity as a whole. We can talk about black first, but if I am trying to be successful, then I need to codify myself. And it's just not just. It's not practicing justice if a DA only clears the records. Marilyn Mosbey and Kim Foxx isn't only clearing the record. They didn't say in their press conferences, hey, we're going to clear the records of all black people who have been convicted of cannabis. No, they just said we're simply going to clear these records or these convictions from people who have been convicted of cannabis. Okay? So when it comes to politics, there are some times where it is appropriate to point out racial groups, especially when those racial groups are being targeted unfairly by a policy. And we know that, black people and other non-white people have borne the brunt of America's drug war. But again, am I trying to prove that racism exists, or am I trying to get a policy implemented that will minimize racism? And depending upon who I'm talking to, I wouldn't even say depending upon the color of the skin of the district attorney, I should just be codified and simply ask for the expungement of all cannabis convictions, and not just that, of black people. I hope people understand the concepts of codification in public forums and dealing with public officials that I'm talking about. All right, that Mr. Fuller was talking about, because that really makes a lot of sense to me. So, color of change, I live in a rural area, just like many black people live in rural areas where there's predominantly white people and there's a white district attorney, and this is not conducive to getting what you're seeking passed. So I hope when I signed this petition that it was only in a text form that was sent to the local DA, and this picture was not included, because I'm all about promoting justice for all. All right, because that's the only way it's going to work. All right. Thank you for watching. Please share if you think this is will be helpful to people in dealing with public officials and dealing with people in the public forum. Codification as a counter-racist tool is very, very important. All right. Thank you. Please continue to support the Black independent media efforts of the Black Talk Media Project. Go to blacktalkradionetwork.com and make a donation today.